Hi guys, it's Ophi from the AstroTwins, and I am here to show you how to do what's called a solar return chart. Now, if you've ever done your birth chart or natal chart in astrology, that's kind of like the factory settings to you. It's based on your time, date, and place of birth, and it gives you a map of where all the stars were, all the planets were when you were born. That's your foundation chart. You're going to want to know that no matter what. But there are also a lot of other types of charts. There are relationship charts, there are predictive charts, progress charts. One of my favorite ones, though, is called the solar return chart. It's like your birthday chart, and it lasts for 1 year. You put in your time of birth, but you put in the date, your birthday, and that current year, and wherever you are on your birthday. So if you're thinking about celebrating your birthday in, India or Indiana, you're going to get two totally different charts. And what the solar return chart shows you is a map for the next 12 months of your life. So if you were born at 10 a.m., it's going to tell you what 10 a.m. of this year on your birthday is going to be like until 10 a.m. of your next birthday. And while it's not a replacement for your birth chart, that's always the fundamental essence of who you are. The solar return chart kind of tells you what you're going to act like that year or what situations you might face. So being a twin, I live in New York, and Tali, my astro twin, lives in Seattle. And we like to try to celebrate our birthday together. So in 2018, she was maybe going to come to New York, or I was going to go to Seattle. And we decided, let's check the solar return charts. So I went to astroseek.com, which has a free solar return chart. I like it because you don't have to log in or create a profile. You can just quickly do the chart. But if you do want to store charts, astro.com is another great resource for solar return charts. So I'm going to show you how I did this because I got two totally different charts for New York and Seattle. In New York, I would have had an Aries rising, and the rising sign kind of it's like the set point for you. So I would have probably had a really intense, active year, not a lot of breaks, that kind of thing. And then Seattle, I got a different chart. So let me show you. So I was born December 2nd, 1972. I don't care if anyone knows my age. I am the age I am, and I get better every year. Sagittarius power. So I was born at 10:04 a.m. So first, it's asking for my birth info. So I was born in Detroit, Michigan. And then so for my solar return year of 2018, I would put in 2018. And the city I would be choosing, and I'll show you how this works. These charting things have extensive atlases, so almost everywhere in the world is available. Now, a solar return chart, just like a birth chart, changes depending on your location, your longitude and latitude, your time zone. Even being one time zone away can completely change the rising sign you'd have for the year. And in your birth chart. So let's calculate the solar return let's start with New York, because spoiler, I actually went to Seattle, and I'll tell it, and you'll soon see why. So New York, where on paper I would have wanted to celebrate it, but you know what? The stars definitely did not align. Oh. So this is showing me two charts. This is showing me my birth chart and the solar return. TMI for your eyes. So let's just go right to, I think it's solar only. Okay, so this is my solar return chart. And we have a how to read birth charts video, which you can watch on our YouTube channel. We're the AstroTwins on YouTube, and it's free. And if you want to learn how to read these wheels full of squiggles, do that. It'll take you through the basis. So in New York, I would have, this is the rising sign. I have an Aries rising. which is already kind of intense. Again, the rising sign is sort of how you present yourself, how you come across. Now, maybe that would have been good for being courageous or taking more risks. The year before, I had a Scorpio rising. I did a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So an Aries rising would be a big change. I'd go from being kind of under the radar to really out in the open. But one of the things that I was a little worried about with this was the planet Uranus, which is hovering right there on the ascendant. And, obviously I can't teach you astrology in this video, but I'll tell you what that means to me as someone with knowledge of reading birth charts or solar return charts, is that Uranus is about sudden changes and a lot of intense, jarring energy. So not only would I have this fast-paced Aries energy going, but I'd also have this unnerving kind of, just maybe a little too much change, even for me as a Sagittarius. So now in your solar return chart, a lot of the planets don't move that quickly. So this legend here on the side shows the planet and then where it is in my birth chart and then where it is in the solar return chart. So in my birth chart, I have a Scorpio, I have Sun in Sagittarius, and the Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Scorpio. Yes, I am intense. But in 2018, I had a Libra moon, and that didn't change. The moon takes 2 or 3 days to move. It's at 16 degrees, which means it was right smack in the middle of its journey. So it probably, no matter where I went, I was going to end up with a Libra moon. You don't get that much of a choice, but you do get some choice with a solar return chart. So a Libra moon, okay, I'm used to my intense Scorpio moon. Libra moon would make me a little more social, but maybe a little scattered sometimes. I don't love it, but it's what I'm going to have to put up with. The rest of the planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, probably going to be the same, although Venus went 0 degrees Scorpio here. So it just began, it's just entered. When a planet's at 0 degrees, that means it just entered that zodiac sign. So who knows? Maybe I'd have Venus in Libra still if I celebrated my birthday somewhere else. That's a possibility. Because in different time zones, it takes time. If something happens at 8:00 p.m. in New York and Seattle's 3 hours before, that means it's going to happen at 5 o'clock in Seattle. And the solar return calculates your birth time, no matter where you are. It does adjust for whatever's happening in that place that you celebrate your birthday. But so let's see. So this is the chart. There's a lot of planets here up at the top of the chart, as you'll see. Not a lot at the bottom half of the chart. The bottom half of the chart are the more personal houses, home and family. The top of the chart is career, professional, being out in the world. I kind of like that. I was almost ready to take that Aries rising with the Uranus there because, hey, I'd have the Sun and Jupiter here in my 8th house of wealth, sex, and power. Jupiter is abundance. Hey, who would say no to that? And Neptune and Mars in the 12th house. Not too crazy about that. But anyway, too much astro jargon if I go any deeper into it. But suffice to say, all right, that was choice 1. So now I'm going to go back and see, what does Seattle look like for me? So, not the birth city. I'm going to the city for the solar return. Seattle, Washington. Okay. Calculate the solar return. Okay, in Seattle, I'm going to go to solar only. I get a nice Aquarius rising. Now, Aquarius is the sign of teams and friends and groups. Aries, which was going to be my New York City rising sign, is about doing things alone. I spend way too much time alone writing horoscopes. So I decided to go to Seattle for the teamwork, which has done nothing but blossom since my birthday. In fact, one of the benefits of having my birthday in Seattle was that a good portion of our AstroStyle team is now located there. So we all had a birthday party and karaoke fest, and we did a really powerful team meeting for the year ahead. I ended up, hiring a couple of new teams to do some work on our business too. I joined a women's CEO, the Women's Presidents Organization this year since my birthday. So the Aquarius rising group energy is already underway for me. Now I did get the 12th house is a tricky house because it's the house of endings. It can sometimes be problem. So I have Saturn there and Pluto. That's what made me debate, going there. Now, Pluto rules death and rebirth and the underworld and transformation. And oddly enough, I did have a friend that I knew in a fluke ended up actually passing away on my birthday in 2018. Yet he's sort of become something of a spirit guide, as strange as that may sound to some people. So I did actually have a Pluto in the 12th house experience, but also Saturn is about boundaries. And in the 12th house is about can rule people who are energy vampires or take advantage of you. And one of my goals for this year, because as a Sagittarian, I tend to be very trusting and generous with people. One of my goals was not to stop being that way, but to be more discerning about that and put up some boundaries. And so that has already been kind of part of the birthday package. Now, as you can see, I got a Libra moon no matter where I was, and Venus was still in Scorpio already. So going back 3 hours didn't give me Venus and Libra, but I'm fine. I've had Venus and Scorpio my whole life, as you can see. So more of the same. It's very interesting because sometimes your solar return chart gives you a really different kind of personality than your birth chart. I have Jupiter in Capricorn in my birth chart, which is Jupiter shows where your approach to abundance and prosperity. And so in Capricorn, it's a little bit of a, more conservative or, hardworking. And then in Sagittarius, it's completely the opposite. It's about taking risks and going big. And, one of the things that I've been doing since my birthday is a lot of videos, which is something I never really wanted to do that often. So Aquarius, being my rising sign, also rules technology and video. So that's kind of been an outcome of this. Now, a funny thing, Tali and I were together in Seattle, but we're born 4 minutes apart. So my rising sign in Seattle, the ASC, was 0 degrees Aquarius. That means it went right into Aquarius. And because Tali is 4 minutes older than me, born at 10 a.m., she got a 29-degree Capricorn rising. The rising sign is the way you present yourself and approach the world. So we have totally different rising signs for the year ahead, even though we're celebrating our birthday together. So the power of doing one of these charts, a solar return chart, is that you can decide where you're going to spend your next birthday, especially if you have a big birthday coming up and you're like, my husband has a big birthday coming up in May and we're thinking about going to Mexico. But before I book that trip, I'm going to do his solar return chart to see if it's an auspicious place. It's an hour behind New York. Or should he stay in New York? Or should he go to Europe, where he's from? Remains to be seen. So I hope you can enjoy using this tool for yourself or your friends. It's a great decision maker. Cut through the fluff and the indecision. Book your trip by the stars or your birthday and see what's in store for you for the year ahead. New facets of yourself to discover, new parts of your personality to grow or express. Maybe you have a year where you learn to be more outgoing, you take more risks, you develop deeper bonds, you connect with your family. It's all been written in the stars for you, and you just get to choose how to tweak it a little bit. Thanks for watching, and follow us on YouTube. We're the AstroTwins on there, and visit us at astrostyle.com.